Welcome everyone to the next episode of Impactables with Rishav. Today we have Mr. Amit, CMO of Zycus. Welcome Amit.
Thank you, Rishav. Pleasure to be here.
Thank you so much. So before we start, it's been 25 years for you working for different companies. I would say only 4 to 5 companies, which is very interesting in today's world. And can you just walk us through like your journey in terms of where you come from, how did you enter into this marketing domain, and what all things you have seen advancement in this all years?
Sure. No, yeah, I often reflect back on this. I am a marketer not by choice but by chance.
So over the years, like how did you saw the advancement? Like 25 years, or I would say, chalo, 15 years from the time when you joined VS Bank. Let's take about that particular period. In this 15 years, how the things got changed when you see marketing as a whole? Because now what we think about marketing and see is different as compared to what we saw 2010, I believe.
Yeah. So I think there were, if you were to really break this thing down, there are a few things that haven't changed at all. Okay. Conceptually, you still have to understand what your customer wants or your prospect wants, said and unsaid, and translate those into communication engagement formats. So I don't think that has changed. But what has really changed is the speed at which you can do this, the insights that you can get, the amount of personalization that you can do, the tools and tackles that you use. I think that has changed. And from a CMO's perspective, the life has become a lot more difficult because there is very little arbitrage left in terms of either availability of data, insights and knowledge as also the tools. So what's my job in a sense is to think deeper on taking those gut calls, right? So everybody has the same data, same insights, but how do you interpret that and decide the so what and next what? I think that is where a CMO skill comes in now.
Exactly. So, but there must be nowadays, I hear a lot of words. I also use the words churn, retention, onboarding, demo. Then what's the lifetime LTV of a customer?
Sure.
So previously also you should define things like this, or like it has changed, the terms got changed, but things were the same.
Yeah, I think the terms have got changed a bit, but fundamentally nothing has changed, right? You always wanted to get a customer where you could satisfy the customer well. So you wanted a customer which was the right profile. We call it ICP now. You did not want to waste time on the wrong customers, right? You wanted to go to the right persona with the right message. So I don't think some of those has changed. What really has changed is the velocity at which you do things and the way you do those things, right? So earlier, the only way you could understand what a customer wants is to do a 3-month long, research. Okay. Now you just listen into the Gong or Avoma calls and you take the transcript and put it on ChatGPT and you can get some brilliant insights, right? So how you do things has changed, but I think core fundamentally nothing has changed.
Since you use ChatGPT, like how much of AI you use today? Like since previously it was not there. From past 3-4 years started using. How much of AI you use today, and what all portions or the segments you use it more to optimize the work?
I use AI very, very rigorously, okay? And I love to use AI. I started using it since ChatGPT 3.0 and I have seen each model evolve. I am not in love with any model. Every 2 months I change. So when Gemini 3.0 came, I spent like 4 or 5 hours just playing around with it. And I realized that it is much better than 5.1 right now. So for my current love is, let's say, Gemini 3.0 for some tasks, okay? Where do I use it? So if you think of marketing and abstract the various things, right? You start from insights, you convert that into different forms of content, then you find a way to package it, distribute and discover, engage, and then let's say insights. Now, you can use AI in all of these things. Naturally, some places better than the other. So we try to use AI all across, okay? My biggest passion right now is we are using it in bits and pieces, okay? None of this is stitched together very well. We tried to do that last year with N8N and Make.com and so on and so forth, but I'll tell you it was much more of a hype than the outcome was not as good as it in terms of stitching it together. I am hoping that in 2026, 2027, many tools will have native orchestration, right from insights to, let's say, analytics, okay, and that entire circle. More or less, most part of it should work in unison. Today, what we do item 1, take it offline, go to item 2, take it offline, go to item 3, right?
Correct.
That's not a very elegant way of doing things.
Okay. So you want that things are happening in a one platform altogether?
Most parts of it, at least, if not all together, at least a large part of it. Today, even getting data from various platforms and then creating one view of the customer and interpreting it itself is a nightmare. Things have improved, but it's still very difficult, right? So even if, let's say, these 6 parts that we spoke of in a customer engagement journey, at least if each of these parts could kind of work together, or at least a few of these parts could be stitched together, I think that will be great.
So as of today, then you use ChatGPT and Gemini more prominently.
I also use Claude for creating, let's say, artifacts or some engaging tools, etc., for coding.
When it comes to generating images and content,
Yeah.
or outreach messages,
Yeah.
or say suppose some kind of systems or flows,
Yeah.
what are the best tools you find out?
I haven't got any one single best tool. As I said, certain things happen very well in GenSpark, for example, right? They have super agents that can pull together different things and do things there. Some things like 11 labs can be stitched together into creating something more, right? So for different things we use different tools, and no single tool is as good in content, written form of content versus, let's say, images versus videos. So I haven't really found one holy grail, if you were to ask me, but there are at least 10 or 15 tools that we use intermittently to see which one is working best for us.
But me as an individual, I always think that how I want to use AI is like I don't want to use my brain also.
Yeah.
I just put things.
Yeah.
And from whichever tool they want to do it, and just give me.
Yeah.
Like I am that lazy, or else I will do myself.
Right.
I am into that phase now. I take the help, but when it comes to using it, I want that either it give me entire thing, or it doesn't it give me only thing which I want.
Yeah.
This is how I look upon at times, but yes, it will get evolved.
So think of it like today is a weekend, so we may end up cooking in the afternoon or evening. You could do a one-pot meal, right, where you have a cooker, you throw everything inside, come back in half an hour, everything is
Correct.
cooked. Or if you're passionate, you would do it the old school way, right? I mean, or something in between is always. If you're in a hurry, the one pot works well. If you want to enjoy a good meal, maybe do with the basics works well.
But all of this, there's one thing which we see on daily basis, that we have seen the drop rates of jobs in customer support, and then we see the other thing developers also we have seen, but not that primarily. But when we see that nowadays people tell a lot that content writers, marketers, or I'm not saying the marketers who are just making the strategies, but the associates ones actually say that they can lose a job due to AI. Is that true?
Yes, I think it is true. In fact, most teams, particularly marketing teams, will reduce their headcounts by around 50% in a year or so if they have not already done. I myself reduced my team by around 30-35% in the last 18 months. But we brought in a lot more seniority. So I think what is going to happen is you need people who can think deep and who can think beyond what, let's say, AI-based automation can do.
Interesting.
And it doesn't mean just seniors will lose job or juniors. I think those who, one, cannot use AI well, and second, who cannot add significant value on top of, let's say, what the vanilla AI can do. I think those people will find it very difficult going forward.
And will it also define how the marketing head jobs and CMO jobs are there as today? And we say that 2027, 2028, the jobs might change. And some things on the requirement side that people who are not adopting that much might change for them in 2027, 28.
Absolutely, it will change, right? So the way I call it is there's a lot of change management required right now. If that doesn't work, you have to change the management. Okay, so just think of it, either do change management or change the management. And I think both of those are happening. We are trying real hard to rewire the way people do work or think of work. Some of them will adapt. Else we'll have to find people who can actually think along those lines. So that is one fundamental change. And from a CMO standpoint, I think there'll be 3 things that we'll end up doing, okay? One is a lot more deeper understanding of customers. I think that will not go. Second is ability to build narratives on top of this. I don't think that will change. And the third is allocation. Okay, because we were discussing a few minutes ago how channels are behaving, how discovery is happening. It's all getting disrupted significantly. There's too much noise.
Correct.
And being able to get discovered, or the first moment of truth is when somebody stops for 3 seconds on their LinkedIn feed to give you another look, right? That's the battle right now. Once you get that look, hopefully they'll fall in love with you, right? So I think that allocation of what you want to do, where you want to spend time, where you want to spend resources, I think that's the third core job that a CMO will have to do going forward.
Interesting. So, but now since you are working in a SaaS industry, and while you started working, that time AI was very limited.
Yeah.
Now every other SaaS is an AI SaaS kind of a thing.
Yeah.
So did you saw any change in the requirement from a company perspective? Like they needed something, now the certain thing has came which is doing via AI and they are replacing it.
Yeah.
Any kind of requirement changes have you seen?
Yeah. So for the first, let's say 2024, when AI started coming in, people or customers or prospects were trying it out from a what's in it kind of a thing. Okay, they wanted to know what is available, what's not, and some people had pressure from top saying, hey, every company is adopting AI, so you should also adopt AI. 2025, there has been a significant change from, let's say, the buyer standpoint. They want value. And if that value comes from AI, better, but they are first focused on value and then how it is delivered. Naturally, AI can deliver more value. So they are now saying, yeah, I want AI, but show me the value. All right. This is from the buyer side. When you think of it from the vendor side, there are so many SaaS companies, everybody is AI washing right now. Okay. Go to any random website, in the hero message, you will have AI in it. But there are fundamentally two ways the SaaS companies are approaching this. Okay. One is the agent sprawl. What does that mean? For anything and everything, there's a micro agent doing something. Okay, either it is summarizing, generating, something it is doing. Okay, and therefore, all across the tool, you will find 10, 15, 20, 30 AI bots floating around, which, going back to our previous discussion, has very limited utility. You don't. It's almost like, in the good old days when you would write something on Word, the Word would say, okay, this grammar is wrong here or something else is wrong there. Then came Grammarly, which could rewrite a sentence or a few words, and now you have ChatGPT, right? And then something else on top of that. The other approach is where you don't create an AI sprawl, you don't sprinkle AI all over your tool, but you identify 4 or 5 or 6 workflows which are really, really core to your job, and at least impact 40 to 60% of that workflow with very integrated and autonomous AI. Exactly what you said. Dump everything in it, get your outcome. At least to a large extent. Okay, so for example, in video editing, after the shooting is done, you would want 6 reels and 20 other things and captions, everything packaged, ideally.
But
to a large
as of
extent.
today, we do it on 4 different platforms.
Exactly. So the AI, in our belief and in Zycus's belief, that will do very well going forward, and that's a strategic call that we have taken, is to invest in a few but very deep and very strong use cases. No drag and drop, no Mickey Mouse AI here and there. We need to know the sector very well, the domain expertise, use that and build really, really robust yet flexible AI. Right? AI agentic flows, I would call it.
But in this entire thing, obviously, now people have started using, as you said, in every website you open, they have written. Just for the sake of writing, also people are writing.
Yeah.
But this is also creating a lot of confusion in the market.
Yeah.
People who are very seasoned enough, like people have seen everything. The stone, I will not say stone age, but the things of evolution from before Corona and after Corona, they might judge the things very easily.
Yeah.
But the new people are there in the market, and I would say the young generation, 25 to 28, who are in this age group, they started seeing only AI now.
Yeah.
For them, how they should identify whether this tool will be beneficial for me without using it sometimes.
No, so I think there is AI to help you do that also, right? So you can use a u.com or a Perplexity or something to actually check out which tools are doing well through public feedback or, Reddit or wherever else. But just think of it. Go back, you said 20, 25 years back, you had pets.com and you had amazon.com. Okay, both of these companies were coming up together. Pets.com lasted for a year and a half maybe until the dot-com bust, and Amazon is going strength to strength. So companies which are built on strong fundamentals, right, with the right kind of technology, I think will survive and will start getting more and more customers. And then if you had a panwala.com or pets.com or any other .com, that did not survive, right? Similarly over here, there will be a lot of companies trying it out, some very genuinely also. It will depend on what direction that technology or that platform takes. If it is in for a short term and it has all these agent sprawls, I don't think it will survive too long.
Interesting. And this whole process, the pricing plays a very big role now.
Yeah.
Because pricing a SaaS tool or any kind of a platform or a subscription, now every tool is an AI tool.
Yeah.
So does it should be decreased? It is increased or decreased from the time when no AI was there?
Yeah. So I think, see, the way I have started using tools nowadays is through an MCP server.
Okay.
I have stopped going to the tool. For example, I use SFDC, but I have an MCP server connecting it into Claude. Okay, and I spend a lot of time on ChatGPT or Claude actually querying that tool. Going forward, most SaaS companies will have to price their solution not by user count or by features. I think that period is soon going to get over, but through API calls and MCP server calls. I think that is how it will have to price it. Will it become value based pricing? A lot of people are saying with AI it will all be outcome based. I don't think so. Okay. For all of these years, different industries including consulting etc have tried to do a very outcome based pricing, but what is outcome is very difficult to define, right? So I think going forward, MCP API pricing with some amount of lead indicators on outcomes will define how the pricing will happen. Will it go up or down? I think it will go down because the cost of AI tokens will only decrease going forward, and the power will keep, almost like a Moore's law, right? So the cost, I think, at the end of the day has to make sense for both the company and the user. So it will find some sweet spot in between.
Interesting. But when we expand this to different locations, you have very good experience in doing this. Like you are sitting in India, working across US, Europe, other geographies.
Yeah.
So do you find that which geography is the difficult one to sell something? Because might be this, in India we are selling this, it is getting sold. But the same problem statement is there in other regions like Europe or US. But you're finding difficulty in selling those things over there. So any difficult geography, and how did you able to crack that over the years?
Yeah, I think each geography has may have a very similar problem, but they may look at it a little differently, right? So in US, what I have seen is most companies, procurement leaders, etc., they buy into your vision. Okay, they look at the future. They say, hey, I can see where this technology is going, and I'm happy to join the bandwagon right now with you, work with you, and it will evolve over a period of time. In Europe, the buying process is slightly different. I have seen much larger buying committees, 30-40 people on call sometimes during demos, and they have reasonably more detailed checklists. They want to know whether this is there or this is not there. They also have more stringent or more evolved legislature around AI, right? So the European AI Act is a lot more prescriptive than, let us say, some of the AI acts in the rest of the world. And I think Europeans are a little more driven by, does your tool solve for A, B, C, D or not? And they would kind of go through that in a little more detail. APAC, I have seen there's a resurgence on how they are purchasing. In fact, right now APAC and Australia are the hottest markets from my perspective. There's a lot of demand for AI. There's a lot, of course, there is, you need to, provide the regional nuances, language and so on and so forth. So somebody in Thailand would want to see Thai, right, on the tool and, but yeah, as I said, like as long as you understand the buying behavior and what really matters to customers, and Europe again is not monolith, every country in Europe has to be dealt with very differently. But as long as you can understand what is it that they want, I think then being able to serve becomes easy.
Interesting. But any the toughest from all this, like you had to nail down your efforts, like it is about to close. For example, you're about to onboard someone, but still everything is clear, everything is but still they are very adamant enough to just onboard you guys. Like obviously not pricing is not a factor, features is not a factor, something which is stopping them. Any particular region which you face this problem?
I haven't really seen that in region. I mean, I cannot maybe generalize it, but sometimes data residency becomes an issue. Sometimes, certain countries, there's a lot of competition. Every large vendor is present in that country, and towards the end, you see the maximum amount of pull and tug that is happening behind the scenes sometimes. Okay, so but yeah, I think it's more client to client rather than region as a whole, whether it is difficult or less. Of course, certain regions are also very price sensitive, where negotiations can feel very prolonged, and even after you signed an LOI, you still end up, doing a little bit here and there, right? So Yeah, I think it's a little company specific and scenario specific rather than I would say region specific.
For us, like for me, it's like sometimes it becomes like when you send everything,
Yeah.
then price it becomes a pricing specific
Yeah,
for
yeah.
us. So, but very interesting. But what's that one important metric which you have seen over the years marketers don't focus upon, and which is a very underrated metric in marketing, or you say sales, or you customer success, whatever it is. So many marketers say that we need to acquire, we need to retain, retain. We say someone say we need to increase the LTV of the user. But among all this, what is one metric which people have always ignored? Not everyone, but some have already ignored.
I think in the last 4 or 5 years, the focus on brand had gone down a bit, and the focus on demand and acquiring customers had increased quite a bit, because there was also a feeling that if you have a large customer base, brand will build by itself. In the last 9 to 15 or maybe a year and a half, what I'm seeing is the focus on brand has seen a great resurgence, which I think is the right thing to do, because you can drive on fumes for a while, but you actually need that brand which drives the engine. So brand building is difficult to measure as well. You can always do brand surveys and stuff, but I think that's a little bit of a snake oil kind of a thing. Yeah, it's a difficult thing to measure, so sometimes we don't end up measuring it, but I think brand is an important part. Of course, revenue matrices are supremely important. A lot of vanity metrics that we end up measuring are more input variables rather than what you should really anchor yourself on.
Interesting. You said that brand measurement is very difficult,
Yeah.
which you can say. But when I speak to so many people, the younger ones actually, 5-10 years of experience or 2-5 years of experience, they say, what outcome I will get when you do this branding activity.
Yeah.
So I always end up saying that you will have a visibility, people will see, you will have names, your constant things will keep going. But as an organization, what they exactly see, like 1 year, 2 years you have done this, how do we impact measures, like whether it is like reach, whether it is like visibility, whether it is like how many inbounds we have got?
Yeah.
How do you measure actually?
So we use some proxy measures. Okay. As I said, sometimes not everything that you can measure should end up being measured, right? It is just a waste of resources. But we do use some proxy measures. One of them, as you rightly said, is how has your inbound changed? When you speak with customers, do they know you well apart from just knowing about your brand? How does it impact on analyst scorecards that you are part of? These are some of the softer measures that you can see. One measure also is, brand awareness or brand affinity should not just open doors, but the momentum should take you well beyond the initial engagement. So let us say you are head on with 2 or 3 large vendors and it's a protracted 8-12 month sales cycle. How much is your brand assisting you during that sales process? Okay, if the invoice goes to the CFO or CIO who you don't really engage with so much in our case, do they look at you and say, hey, why am I paying this company $1 million? Or are they saying, oh no, I should be paying this company $1 million? Okay, so that is also an impact of brand, that if your brand is strong, it will take you through pretty much most of your sales process.
But in this whole thing, like still, there will be something which becomes a very important matrix. Like for me, what I have understood that when you do brand building as a B2B company, your inbound and visibility and referral increases for me. So 4 years, I started writing on LinkedIn. I kept on writing. Now people, when I say, at least someone roaming around, they say that I have seen your post on LinkedIn. Yeah. Even nothing is happening via that. I don't measure whether it should happen with me something. Or when I reach out to someone, they say, yes, I have heard about you.
Correct.
So do you think that that is one level of metrics which is very important on the visibility side and people recognizing you as a brand or as an individual?
Yeah. So recall, awareness, salience, all of that is supremely important, so that you don't have to say who you are when you meet somebody. Your visiting card is almost opening doors for you, or your brand is opening doors for you. The other classical way of looking at brand is, what is the delta you get on your pricing? Okay. If you have a branded, cola, and you have a roadside cola goes for 5 rupees and branded cola goes for 10 rupees. The difference is the brand. Okay. They taste similar. I mean, if you do a blind test, few people can tell, but most people can't tell the difference. But that 5 rupee extra that you get is brand. Now, even in a B2B environment, Are you able to win because your brand is strong and people are ready to pay you that premium because they know that they will get good outcome and good support and so on and so forth? Or are they negotiating with you largely on price because they need to meet a budget and you are the only guy who is ready to discount? And so if they are giving you a premium or you are giving you what you deserve, I think that's the impact of brand as well. And brand gets built in many ways. One, like you said, is social media or being present in, whatever outdoors events, etc. But it is also so much about customer service and what others are talking about you, what your referrals are talking about you, what kind of reviews are you getting on peer insights or peer platforms. I think all of those also go on building brand. And what is the NPS of your customers? And that's very important because you can spend on building brand, you can spend on being present in different places, but your NPS decides what people talk about you when you are not present over there.
And this is where the people lag a lot today. I see the people focus on onboarding. People post onboarding, your sales team is very fabulous.
Yeah.
Your delivery team might not be that great, or your project manager might not be that great, and due to which you always keep revolving around.
Correct.
And that person who is working directly with those particular people, salesperson is not knowing it.
Yeah.
And then when this entire sentiment goes down.
Yeah.
So that's what I understood, that communication, resolving things on time, responding people on time can increase a lot of sense for other people, because people who have worked with you are the bigger promoters for you.
Absolutely. No, so in our organization, what we have done is we have kept very simple measures after a sale is done. Okay. So how much of, because we are in procurement and spend space, we kept it very simple, no complex formula. Two things. One, how much of your customers' spend is on your platform. That's a very good way of measuring how deeply are they using it. And second, each company would have one or two KPIs that are really important, okay, beyond just how much spend. Sometimes you don't have an alternative, so all your spend is there. But after that, one more metrics we pick, okay, in terms of either cost reduction or cycle time, and we see how we are measuring them. And this is part of everybody's, KRAs or MBOs. We measure this, and that forces us to stay true. And NPS, right? Like we have a very rigorous way of measuring NPS for our existing customers multiple times during a year. And as soon as an NPS goes down, there are alarm bells that start ringing across the system. And then we say, okay, go and. So I think it's also a little bit about organizational DNA and what you prioritize.
Exactly. So since you are now working in a procurement industry, which is a SaaS based procurement, but did the things got changed like before and after AI?
Yeah, absolutely. I think procurement is one area where AI has a super high impact. Why? Because it is very operationally intensive and manual work. AI, for example, for accounts payable, invoice processing, AI can do most of it and very, very well, and can get you 60 to 80% impact. Similarly, for negotiations, always people believe that humans should negotiate. Okay, we are the best at negotiation, but AI is now playing a role there also. And the tail spend, where the individual sourcing item is very low cost. Humans don't have the time or patience to do that and shouldn't be doing it, but AI can do it very well. So we have built agents that can actually mimic a human and interact with a vendor and negotiate this deal within minutes. Okay, so I think AI is sooner or later also going to do more strategic type of negotiations going forward. So yeah.
But any use case which you saw that this was very big pain point actually, which got optimized, or I would say became easier a bit as compared to before?
Yeah, I'll take example of two things. One, we hate engaging with any enterprise tool. Okay, like if I have to log into an HRIT system or a HR system, I hate it because I'm a marketer. I don't mind doing that on an ABM system because that's my job, but HRIT system or any other form of a thing, we hate it. Okay, they used to call it sab aadmi pareshan, if you get the hint. So what we did is we created a conversational interface on MS Teams, because where do people spend most of the time? On Microsoft Teams. And we don't like to fill forms. Earlier, what used to happen, you want to buy something, fill this form, write something. It's very boring, and half of the time you end up filling the free text field, okay, which is not the main structured field. So now all of this has got transformed due to AI on Microsoft Teams. The biggest question people were to ask is, if somebody joins a company, who should I ask this? Who will approve this? Where can I find this? This is a typical question. All of that is now part of the tool itself. So you don't have to ask anybody. You don't need to know the policy. Can I buy a MacBook, or should I buy this, or can I buy i5 or i7? All of it gets automated through this, right? So big impact. Adoption increases because of this. The second impact, as I said, is in negotiations and sourcing. Can AI autonomously do this without too much of manual human intervention? The answer is yes now. And I think both of these two things will really disrupt the way people do procurement going forward.
But does it not give the leverage like to the AI that pricing they are deciding, or like you set some benchmarks to it?
No, these are intelligent AI. They are not rule-based AI systems.
Okay.
Okay. So there are a lot of mathematical and scientific models that are a part of this. So it knows, should I use brute force here, or should I play one vendor against the other vendor? It also has information of all the previous purchases that have been done. So it has certain benchmarks. It also can fetch real-time data from various places to see what is the going rate for these things right now. So it triangulates information from multiple places, uses different negotiation tactics during the negotiation phase, and gets you like the most optimal price. And of course, non-price parameters also.
Super interesting. So, but again, this is my one question which I missed before. But when you transformed your career from a fintech industry to a procurement industry, did you find difficulty or like any changes in the things? Obviously, marketing as a whole might be same.
Yeah.
But did you find yourself need to learn something or unlearn something?
I think that is what I really enjoy. Okay, if you feel there is nothing left to learn, then it is the end of job for you. So every 3 to 5 years, I try to see if I can be in a very different place within the same job or in a new job where I have to reinvent myself. Okay, so fintech also happened after more traditional banking, right? So did traditional banking for a few years, then we said let's get into fintech, let's get into data and AI and so on and so forth. And even within procurement, initially it was about subject matter and new way of doing business within SaaS industry. Last couple of years have been around leveraging AI, right? So that's what keeps me going, I guess.
And one last piece of advice to any new marketers operating in B2B SaaS space, because everyone thinks this is a tough space to crack, but they just need to understand few things which I understand you might be knowing.
Yeah. So I would say whether it is marketing in B2B or B2C or any other job, my latest mantra is that you need to be extremely curious, experimentative. For example, find new ways, because what's happening is ability to learn, unlearn. That pace has increased significantly. Okay. The other thing is build intolerance. I know in social media days, intolerance has a very different connotation, but my meaning is a little different, which is don't settle for mediocre.
Okay.
Be intolerant about mediocrity. Be intolerant about things getting stuck in bottlenecks or shoddy job. Okay, we want to be crappy, not scrappy. So be intolerant about that. 95% is a good benchmark. 100% is waste of time, but anything less than 95% is shoddy. So I think these are my two mantras. One is extremely high level of curiosity, experimentation and so on and so forth. And second is very high level of intolerance.
Very interesting. All the things which you said, I enjoyed, because all my 7 years I have done either sales or marketing. And I personally learned a lot, and I hope users will also learn a lot. People who are watching this will all learn a lot. Thank you so much, Amit, for being in this episode.
My pleasure, and I think people learn a lot just looking at your profile.
That was the first way we started talking.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Pleasure.